Well, yes, indeed. Thank you, Mark. Where we'll be focusing on the economy at the moment. We've got Dr. Austin Wise, who is an economist, also with the Pan Atlantic University. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you.
You know, the CBN governor was speaking in Benin. So while there was this lecture he delivered, Beyond the Global Financial Crisis, Monetary Policy Under Global Uncertainty. So a comment he made, which journalists picked up on that whenever they heard that particular word, it gets ears tingling, where he expressed fears that we may slide into another recession if measures are not taken to tackle the high rate of unemployment and other economic crisis. That was what he said. So one wonders, how do we situate that? Because not long ago, there were several counters saying, no, the economic indices did look good. They don't know where the former NGF chairman was saying, or what where he got his data, because he equally said we may be getting into another round of recession. How do we deal with
that's true. Since 2018, there has been some comments or indications that it's not just Nigeria, that the global economy might get into another round of recession. And recession is not something that is really, it's like a cycle. It comes and goes, it comes and goes. When policies change and, so it's something that, we should be expecting, and, it might take 20 years, it might take 30 years, it depends on how you're able to come up with your policy, sustainable, to sustain, the economy. And again, nothing has been done since the last recession in Nigeria. Nothing has been done in the area of production, domestic production. And that is what can sustain,
Yeah, but
the policies made by, and again, you could see that the CBN governor is like he's feeling the weight.
Okay. We'll come back to this. We need to go to a break, but we'll be back in a moment. Stay with us. You were making a point about that, but because what the CBN governor did say in that comment, which we also heard a different part, a different comment, but the key thing in this one and the one he said in Benin was that if we don't do something about the unemployment rate, so that seems to be the most area of concern for him.
Yeah, because the man is feeling the weight, even from the countenance on the face. It's enough to tell people that something is wrong with the economy. If we were like in the U.S., for instance, when the CBN or Reserve Chairman is talking like this, there's trouble in the economy, and people will begin to take positions, and what to do. But we are not as sophisticated as to read the facial expressions on the face of the CBN governor to know that there is fire on the mountain.
But can we avoid this seeming recession that is coming our way?
It could be avoided, but when you have the weak, because the guy, the CBN governor seems to be talking in fiscal policy side as well as the monetary policy side. We have a weak fiscal policy. They're supposed to give direction. This is what we want. And then CBN will now make policies to achieve that objective. But there doesn't seem to be a national strategy. And how do you reduce unemployment? And it's simple.
Yeah, but for those who disagreed with that particular comment as to whether or not we're going to slide into recession, Budman, LCC, I think, look, the parameters that Governor Yari gave at the time, they said it was faulty because, look, unless something happens drastically to the oil prices and some of those indices, the World Bank projection didn't say that we were going to get into recession. So no, where did they get that?
No, but the guy that, you're talking about World Bank, yes, I agree. But this guy is also using data. If the data is faulty, your prediction will be also faulty. Sometimes there's a variation or disparity between the CBN figures as per inflation, for instance, and then the NBS indication. And even some embassies, foreign embassies, they do conduct their own testing, inflationary testing, price, hikes and all, rises and all that, to determine how to cushion the effect on the employees.
Because if you listen to that last comment of his, if some understood it as such that he's concerned about the unemployment rate in the country, he wants us to do something about it, He's also concerned more so because he talked about farming. We know we're trying to diversify the economy. So if people are prevented from going to the farms, it will cause us challenge. So isn't that the basis where he thinks, look, let's do something about, get people back to the farms, do something about unemployment rates, and then we may just keep going.
Outside the government, the economy is diversified.
Is it?
Outside the government. But what we need is decentralization of the economy. And again, moving from economic planning, moving from the, building a raw material base and making transition from that base to industry.
Is that on the basis of the amount of revenue we earn?
No,
would you say decentralization or diversification?
No, decentralization, you don't need to. There should be economic activities going on.
Yeah, I thought what
going on in the communities.
I thought what the country is trying to do, get us to a quantum where you can say comparably with our earnings in oil. So if you get to that level, then we can truly say, yes.
No, you see, because one is that everybody is concerned about oil, okay? If you pay less attention to oil and begin to encourage local entrepreneurs, for instance, we can do a lot. We can begin to, in local places. Take, for instance, some of the gains we have made in terms of, GDP recovery and all that. It could be seasonal. Yeah, but oil price.
That's in the non-oil sector, not just the oil price.
Yes. No. So you find that when in the non-oil sector, when there is season, and that was what he's talking about, some farmers being disturbed. The season when tomato, for instance, comes on, you find bucket of tomato for 1,000 will fill up this studio. But when it's out of season, it becomes a handful for 1,000 naira. This is what happens. Why don't we move from being a seasonal this into something continuous and moving from that, expanding the value chain by those that harvest to grow tomato, those that make the concentrate, we move it to those that actually do the process and packaging for tomato puree to be made. That's how you expand.
What monetary policies can now support the fiscal policies that he's basically concerned about?
No, the fiscal, to work with the fiscal, now they have to make interest rate, for instance. The government will need to say, okay, look, the fiscal policy says, we want interest rate of 1 digit.
That's not possible.
It is possible.
They will always bring this argument that they cannot have that because these are dependent on market forces.
No, because they are doing inflation targeting. That's what you get.
I thought there's 9% interest rate for some agri sector.
That is not enough. That is not enough. What we need to do is...
Can we grow an economy such that we have got better employment rates at any figure above 2%?
Of course. We can grow an economy when you reduce interest rates has a way of influencing the entire economy. When interest rate is low, at that rate now, 13.5%, it's still too high. Our products are not competitive.
Dr. Weze,
yes.
We have been through a recession before. We have come out of it. And that was also enumerated by the CBN governor at an earlier lecture at the University of Nigeria. We exited recession then because we chose, through some efforts at diversifying the economy.
Why? Say we were lucky.
Lucky.
You don't grow, you don't
so
plan
we
economy
were able,
through luck.
So consequently, there is something that can be done.
It's deliberate.
There is something that can be done.
Yes.
Okay, to avoid the crushing effect of the brimming, global, crisis that we're looking at right now. And but what he said in specific terms is, if we do not do something serious and concerted about unemployment, we will have a much bigger problem.
Yes.
Dr. Weze, from your experience and all that you know, how seriously do you think government perceives this issue now?
Now, to tell you the truth, I don't think that the federal government is aware of what is going on. They don't care. They are living in denial.
Who doesn't care? Government?
The government, yes. And that's the lamentation that the CBN is. One thing is.
You said the president speak the other day about what the policies they put in place to get us out of recession, how the rice industry is also coming in the stream, the rice mills. How could you say they don't care?
No, they don't care. It's just this and that. You can see that. I'm saying that Emefiele himself, he needs a direction. the executive saying, look, this is our strategy, this is where we want to go, this is our national strategy. It will make the job easier for him.
So we don't have a strategy.
There's no national strategy on how to compete. How do we compete? There's
Are you
no
saying
clear.
Emefiele now is handicapped?
There's a level he can go. Beyond that, if you have a weak fiscal policy side, there's a level he can go, for him. And he has reached that peak. You need some creativity. You need some, because you can get rid of unemployment or reduce unemployment when people are busy, when you encourage production. Production, forget about inflation. I keep saying this. You're doing inflation targeting by increasing interest rate and all that. It is also, there's a downside to it. If you knock down interest rate today and make funds available through venture capital firms to support businesses,
all right,
production will increase. And,
let's see.
And then, employment will increase as well.
Right.
And then companies can borrow money, expand, new businesses can come in, and all of this will take us, and eventually in the long run, both will converge, and inflation will be down. We can have inflation of 5%.
So, Doctor, do you subscribe to those recommendations?
Yeah, in a way, and beyond that, there has to be a deliberate, effort. Economies are created. They're not wished. They're not commanded. There has to be some deliberate effort to create an economy, to have a vision of, okay, this is where we want to go. Do you know that Nigeria's economy is 79% of ECOWAS? And Naira is not being used in the ECOWAS this thing. Obasanjo attempted creating a special fund to enable industries that could manufacture just for export. The next government came and cancelled it.
If we did that Naira in ECOWAS, to some extent, what does that do to our economy?
No, production, or you create this employment we're looking for. When your production, this ECOWAS...
I'm Chamberlain Osal.
I'm Jimba Omar.
I am Akine here.
And I'm Malkwel Yusuf. Thank you.
The views and opinions expressed by guests on this program are those of the maker and do not reflect the views, opinions, and endorsement of Channels Television.